Hello, my name is Xonevant. Today is Thursday, January the 22nd, and today we're going to answer a ton of questions from your boy Darker XZ. Let's get right into it on today's Daily Dose. So there are those days where I go to gaming websites and I'm checking stuff out and nothing is clicking. It's absolutely boring. Gaming news is stale, and I'm always looking to you guys to help me, get questions and topics for the show. And I just put this out on Google Plus, and Darker XZ responded. I said, hey, gaming news is boring today. Anybody got a topic they want me to discuss on today's show? And he hit me up with a ton of questions, and I was trying to go through and pick out one specific question. I was like, you know what? Let's just talk about them all. Now, the first thing he says here is anything on piracy? And I think you guys know my stance on piracy. I think it's wrong on all fronts. It's not justified in any stretch of the imagination. It's like going into a store, walking up to the shelf, grabbing something for free and walking out without paying. That is absolutely wrong. And I know a lot of people say, well, this is the internet, and people do that sort of thing all the time, and that's true, and I know it happens, but it's the same thing. It is still wrong. Now, you can try to justify it all you want to and say this, that, and the other, but I think a lot of times people get away with stuff on the internet that they wouldn't normally get away with in real life, because obviously the consequences are there more so in real life, and so they feel like they're not really doing anything wrong because there's no immediate consequence. Obviously, if you went into your local retailer and tried to do that in front of somebody, you'd be, facing some charges or whatever. But people can just do it online all stealth and ninja-like, and they don't feel like they're stealing, but they are stealing, and that is absolutely 100% wrong. The next question he asked is, has there been any regrets in your life? Yeah, I mean, there's been a ton of regrets. One that I can really think of is trying to fit in too much. I'm a unique dude. You ever heard anybody talk about being a unique snowflake? I'm a unique dude, man. I really don't look at the world, I don't think, like everybody else does. I don't look at money the same way. I don't look at material possessions the same way. I'm just kind of out here doing my thing, and I just don't value some of the same things that people value. And I remember back in like middle school, going into high school, I still felt that way, even at a young age. When I was 15, 16, I still felt like, my little unique snowflake, you know what I'm saying? But I still tried to fit in. I tried to wear all the clothes that everybody else was wearing, and I tried to do all the things that everybody else was doing, and I always felt out of place. And yet I still tried every single day to be like everybody else. And that's a huge regret, man. I wish I would have just been me, right? And I think I was me to a degree, but like I said, I always kind of just balanced that line too much. And I just wish I'd have just been absolutely 100% myself. And I wish I could go back in time, Marty McFly that junk, and just do that and see what the outcome would have been, right? I think that would be an interesting experience. Now, I think another regret is something that's been highlighted on the channel here in the last couple of weeks, is staying in my environment too long. I was living with these roommates for almost 4 or 5 years, and while I got a couple of good set of roommates, I also got some bad ones. And even though I said to myself, hey, I want to move, I want to get out of here, I never really made the leap to make it happen because I was so busy. And I wish I would have gotten out of there sooner. I think the YouTube channel suffered a great deal for that. I think we would already be probably well over 15,000 subscribers at this point had I been putting up videos like I should be putting them up. But obviously I couldn't, because I stayed in that environment way too long, and it took the help of some good friends of mine to push me to get out of there. And when it happened real quick, and now I'm I'm so happy for it. I've moved so many times in my life, and you just dread that moving process. It's so strenuous, and I've got so much stuff, and it's just not something that you look forward to doing. So you're always thinking in your mind, well, things will get better, and that sort of thing. It's very similar to, if you're dating somebody, you're always like, well, there's certain things I want to change about this person. I'll just stay in this relationship. Things will change, blah, blah, blah. And then you're in there for a year, you know what I mean? And nothing changes. And then you realize, I got to get out of here. It's staying in that position way too long, longer than you need to. I think that's a pretty big regret, because I feel like I I let myself down as a video creator, and I also let you guys down as my community. So if I could go back in time and do that differently, that would be something else I'd do. Now the next question is, what do you think is going to be the next big trend in gaming? I think it's going to be whatever we allow it to be. You know, trends come and go because we allow those trends to happen. You know, back when they announced Season Pass and, you know, EA was doing their thing, you know, we allowed that to happen. We bought it. And then you started seeing a bunch of other publishers, you know, do the whole Season Pass thing as well. That's the trend that we as a community, right, gamers, we allowed it to happen. Companies and they're always looking to find new trends, but they can't go past what we're willing to spend. You see what I mean? There's a line there. They can try all they want to, but unless we're willing to drop that money on it, then the trend never happens. And so we saw that with microtransactions. We've seen that with DLC. We're seeing that right now with the Evolve DLC, right? That just dropped. This, what, $136 spread out over 50 plus little miscellaneous pieces of content. We'll see how that goes, but I guarantee you, if gamers start biting on that and buying that stuff and they can see huge profitability there, you'll see more games do that sort of thing, right? So the next trend in gaming is whatever we will allow and accept to be as a part of this, you know, gaming industry. So it really is not going to come down so much to the companies. It's going to come down to us. So the next trend in gaming, whatever we allow it to be. The next question is, are microtransactions being used properly by game publishers? Absolutely not, in my opinion. I'm sure there's a couple of games out there who are doing it right, but for the most part, it's not being done right. And even if you're a franchise or a game out there that's doing it correctly, right, there's such a stigma on that word that it's going to be tainted either way, right? And I think a lot of gamers don't like microtransactions. There's probably a couple out there who do. But come on, at the end of the day, it's not being used properly. Could it be? Of course, absolutely. DLC could be used in a good way. All these different things that we're seeing, and we talked about this yesterday, they could be used appropriately and could enhance the gaming experience, could be fair to the gamers, right? I think there is a way to make that happen. But when you're a company and you're looking at your bottom line and you're looking at your shareholders and the stock market and paying people, you're not thinking that way. You're not necessarily thinking about what's going to be fair to the people that we're making this video game for. What you're thinking about is keeping your jobs, keeping your staff, making sure that your shareholders are happy so they'll keep dumping more money into future projects. That's what you're trying to cling to. And there is a selfish mentality that goes along with that, but companies are just that way. That is the nature of companies. That's why I feel like, and I keep telling you guys, we as gamers have the power to dictate back to them what is allowed to basically press down upon us, right? So if we keep kicking back and showing them, hey, we don't like this sort of thing, we're cool with this, here's a line here, here's a line there, then I think microtransactions could be used properly for game pub. I don't have any issues with microtransactions. And look, if it's a skin for a gun, or you want to change the color of your gun or get a different outfit or whatever, man, that's when microtransactions are perfect, right? Because who cares? Like, I don't really care about, you know, looking a certain way in a first-person shooter because I can't even see myself. You know what I'm saying? You can see me, but I can't see me, so it doesn't bother me. But if somebody else wants to buy a skin or something like that, then so be it. As long as it doesn't change the competitive nature of a game or anything like that, then I'm cool with it. But what we're seeing now is microtransactions being able to, you know, I might go into a game and spend 5 months leveling up my character, getting all the guns, getting all the attachments, and actually putting in that hard work, and then they put out some microtransaction type you know, item that you can just go in and just buy all the guns. You see what I'm saying? So to me, that's a little bit unfair because I had to put in time where somebody else didn't. And so that's when I think microtransactions are being used wrong. But if it comes down to just cosmetic things that, you know, you may or may not want to just do with your character, I think that's fine. And I wish that they could do that, and they would be profitable, because there are certain gamers who want that unique kind of custom look. You know, they don't want to look like everybody else. I'm not that kind of person, but there are gamers who are that way. They want to trick themselves out, so to speak. Hey man, if that's what microtransactions are used for, more power to you. But that's not really what we're seeing them used for today. The next question is, most disappointing game you have played. I can tell you in recent memory, the most disappointing game I have played was Max Payne 3. Now I'm gonna tell you why. the game was great. I loved it. It was fun. I mean, the bullet time stuff, I thought it was a phenomenal game. And of course, I'm doing the trophy hunting. You guys know it's been up on the channel. This is back when B.A. Beckerable15 was helping me with the channel. And we had to make that hardcore run, you know, that we had to get that trophy where I forget the name of it, but you had to go through the game without dying. And my skill was such that I thought I could make that happen. And on 3 separate attempts, I made it to about midway through the game and ran into glitches that just kept me from getting through it, right? Because, you know, you got that time that's building up and all that kind of stuff. And I thought that was a great addition to that game, and I love that trophy. But it's so disappointing because it wasn't my skill that kept me from getting that trophy. The game just kept trolling me, and I think that is the absolute worst. So, and I guess I could characterize that into any game that keeps me from getting to the end of it or getting a trophy or challenging myself, because the game itself is just so buggy and glitched that I can't make that happen, and it has nothing to do with my skill level. You know what I mean? In other words, I can't get better and then, you know, I'm able to achieve it. That's a huge disappointment. So I can't really go any further than that with this question. Like, that's probably the most disappointing game in recent memory. I think if you're a retro gamer, it's got to be, you know, a game like E.T. you know, something like that. That was pretty disappointing because, you know, that came out at a time where, you know, the movie was awesome, right? And then you wanted to play the game and it wasn't that good. It was very disappointing, right? So, but I think in recent memory, Max Payne 3, man, and that's still a game. That's still a game, believe it or not, that I think about constantly. Like, I was actually, Dormouse03 mentioned it the other day in a video in the comments, and she said, "I'm looking at you, Max Payne 3. We were talking about something," and then I responded by saying, "Yeah, my eyes are on that game too." That's a game that I would love to go back. I don't know if it's fixed now or the bugs and glitches are gone, but I would love to go back and make that run because I know my skill level is up to you know, up to par. I could make it happen. It's not a big deal. But God, the game just kept trolling me, man. And that's a huge disappointment for me as a gamer. And the last question is, has there been a game you have tried to avoid playing? He actually put here that his was World of Warcraft. There's not really any game that I like consciously try to avoid, if that makes sense. Like, I don't go to, you know, the store and go, I can't play that game. You know, it's off limits. I don't think about it that way. There are just some games that interest me 0%. You know what I mean? I think World of Warcraft is a good example. That game does not interest me at all. I think watching people play it is fun, and I've watched streams of people play it. My firefighter friend, you guys know G-Watt, I've talked about him on the channel. He's the one that helped me move. He plays it, and I love watching him play it. You know what I mean? I've watched him play a little bit of it here and there. Like, it's just one of those things, like, it's just not for me. But I can see why people like it. I respect people for playing it and enjoying it, and I can see where the interest value is for someone else. But for me, it's just not there. I think another example would be Minecraft. Just doesn't interest me at all. It just, something about it just doesn't interest me at all. Again, I can see why people like it. I respect them for it. More power to you if that's your favorite game or whatever. But for me, yeah, just not for me. And that pretty much wraps it up, guys. Again, gaming news was kind of boring today. I just couldn't get any flow going. So I appreciate Darker XZ, man. Thank you so much for hitting me up with these questions. Remember, guys, if you ever have a question or topic you'd like for me to talk about on the show, hit me up on Google Plus or Facebook or Twitter, or email me at squareonegames@gmail.com, and I'd be more than happy to feature your questions here on the show. And it really helps me out too, because gaming news can be boring sometimes, man. There's nothing to talk about, and I'm sitting here sweating going, God, I gotta get a video up. And once he hit me up with these questions, this video came so easy and naturally. So once again, I appreciate it. Thank you guys for watching. See you right here tomorrow.